Hey everybody, it's Diane Brandon Moody here. Another episode of 50 Something Love, and I'm so excited that you're here. Today's topic is one that I think is very important to discuss because I've heard more and more people doing this. And that is, should you do coaching or should you just take the shortcut and go hire a matchmaker? What I want to say to this is I am not against matchmaking in any shape or form. They can bring people to you that have already been vetted, that they already know whether they're married or not, or whether they have money or not, and etc. So there are plenty of good reasons why hiring a matchmaker could be super good for you. There's one big reason why I'm not in favor of matchmaking first. So here's my beliefs around that. First of all, if you are over 50 and you have been single all this time, or you have been through multiple relationships and they always seem to start out great and they end up the same way. He's married, he's an alcoholic, he's abusive, he's a narcissist, or whatever it is that you're talking about, it always ends up the same way. There's more at work here than just bad luck. I don't want to make this sound blamey at all because that is not my intent. But a lot of us, myself included, when we find ourselves finally getting the relationship that we want, and in my case, I got married at 58, took me a long damn time to get there. There's something else at work. And in my case, there were multiple things at work. You can grab my 7 patterns that smart women run for dating. I think I just mangled that title at my website at dianebrandonmoody.com. And I think I probably ran every one of those patterns at one time or another. But your nervous system gets very used to protecting you from what could be hurt feelings, devastation from a relationship that doesn't work out. Um, it's trying to protect you, but what it's doing instead is keeping you inside this same loop that your nervous system knows about. Your nervous system knows what works, and that's why you keep getting the same thing. I don't know how many times I've heard this story that, my dad was an alcoholic. This is not true in my case. My dad was not an alcoholic, but my dad was an alcoholic. And I worked so hard to stay away from that kind of person when I'm dating. And wouldn't you know it, 2 years after we got married, he's an alcoholic. I am not blaming the woman in this case. In that particular scenario, it's the dude's fault. But there's still some kind of patterning that's working inside you that is saying, oh, I feel much safer with this guy than I do going into the arena when a guy may really want to get to know me. He may really want to know my secret innermost thoughts. He may really want to know and love me anyway when I am a bitch on wheels going through menopause. He may abandon me when I'm dealing with cancer or whatever it is, your fear of the unknown. And that is a universal fear, folks. Pretty much everybody in the world has a fear of the unknown to varying degrees, but you're fearing that. And so you end up kind of in the same place because at least it's the devil you know. We say that in Texas a lot. At least it's the devil I know versus the devil I don't. So we've established that there may be reasons why you are running the same patterns, even though it is not your fault. Nobody's blaming you for it. On the other hand, the most powerful position in the world on this topic is that if somehow you're involved in this choosing of the wrong people or being too scared to choose at all, which I did, that is a powerful, powerful, powerful position to be in. Because if what you're looking at is I just keep accidentally running into alcoholics, your only choice is to either keep on with the alcoholics or not be with them at all. And that's no kind of choice. I know a lot of people decide to stop dating at this age. And if you are one of the people who are just thrilled with your life, you've had the relationships, you've had the kids if you wanted them, you didn't have them if you don't want them, which I did not. It wasn't my thing. If you're in the place now where you're happy being alone and hanging out with your girlfriends and traveling and all that, God bless you. Nobody in my world is going to blame and shame you for wanting to be on your own. But I urge you not to give up if the position that you're in is really, I've messed up so many times, I cannot possibly make another good choice. I am scared to make another wrong choice. And so therefore I give up. Don't do that to yourself, sweetie. That's that's just giving up. So the powerful position is to get some coaching before you do the matchmaking bit, because then after coaching, you're not going to be making up reasons why all these guys don't work for you. He has an accent. I don't want an accent. He needs to be this tall. He needs to blah, blah, blah. He needs to have this much kind of money. He needs to have this kind of family. No kids, kids, whatever. Y'all set out these ridiculous lists, and I did too. So no blame. Once again, you set up these lists that most human men can't live up to. They may give it a try, but they're not going to be able to do it forever because that's just not the way human beings are. Nobody ends up the way that you started out. When you have your first date, your second date, your third date, your third month, your fifth month, whatever, you're still in a halo of hormones and dopamine and serotonin, and you're all just thrilled with the way everything is. Once you get married and you're dealing with illness or grown children, or you have budget issues, or things aren't going the way you want to, or communication problems, whatever, that happens when you're in the relationship. You have to have the solid love behind you. You don't just need the dopamine. You need the love, the respect, the shared visions of what your life will be like in order for that relationship to work. So, matchmaking, again, a wonderful thing if you can afford it. It can be very expensive depending on where you go and who you talk to. Sometimes they're long contracts, they will take a while. They can only match you with people that they have. So if you're looking for this Mr. Perfect dude and they don't have Mr. Perfect, or they do have Mr. Perfect and Mr. Perfect isn't into you, that happens, then that's a powerless place to be if you haven't really knocked out some of this nervous system stuff that keeps you from getting to your person in the first place. You probably have unconscious blocks. I know I did. If I could tell you stories, but I'm not going to. Maybe secretly at the bottom of all this is you fear that you're not good enough, but you're going to hide that from yourself and you're going to hide that from the other guys by pretending he's not good enough. That's called projection. All humans do it at some time or another. Those of us who've done some work will catch ourselves in it eventually. Or if we've had spouses who've done the work, the spouse will sometimes say, sounds like projection to me. So that will only carry you so far. If you keep on finding fault with the people that the matchmaker delivers, and that's the report that I keep getting back from the people I know who have tried it, is that they say, she never gave me the ones I wanted. Okay, I don't know the particular situation of each of these. I haven't, you know, done an autopsy on the whole conversation, the beliefs, or their contracts with the matchmaker. But I would be willing to guess that a whole lot of that is just made up. It just is. That's just the way it works in modern days. If you're doing your coaching first, you can be prepared for matchmaking. You you can have more ideas about what is really, really needed in your life. If you are looking for a long-term relationship or you're looking for marriage, there are things far more important than how tall he is. I happen to get a tall one. I'm a tall woman. My husband's 6'3". I was delighted by that, but my dad was shorter than I am, and so I was kind of used to a guy being shorter, and it just didn't bother me to go out with a shorter guy. So it just never really bothered me, but a whole lot of women get really hung up on that. And what that is in many cases, first of all, it's evolutionary. When we were living in caves, we were physically unsafe if we didn't have a man to keep the hyenas and the other cavemen away from us while we were bearing children. So that's a little bit evolutionary. It's also part projection because a lot of women, and this has been said, it's been said by former clients, etc., that they're looking for a big hunky guy because they will feel smaller with a big guy because they're not comfortable with their own body as it is. Now, whether that's something that can be fixed or not fixed, I don't know. But that is really more projection. And before you say that all men are just looking for a skinny woman, that just isn't true. I have not been skinny for most of my life in varying weights. I've weighed all over the place. But when I was dating, I was not skinny for most of it, and I still had plenty of dates. They didn't all work out, and I wasn't always somebody's cup of tea, and they weren't always mine. But this isn't true of all guys. There are plenty of guys who have no problem with who you are if you're okay with who you are and you can project that you love who you are. That's what they're looking for. They look more for that feeling that you love who you are and you love life and you're out there doing your thing. They look more for that than they are looking for your size. And I know this because many, many men have actually said that to me. So in coaching, we help work through body image issues. And whether that moves on to you doing more for your body or just loving it, learning to love it can be a chore sometimes. Learning to love it, that's extremely important. So these are the reasons why that I recommend that you do your coaching first. Do your coaching before you do the matchmaking, and you will end up appreciating the matchmaking much more. And I'm saying this assuming you get a good matchmaker. Matchmaking is a whole different world from what I do. Um, I had a former client say that I should get into that, and I looked into it a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, no, that's just a whole nother line of business, and it's not for me right now." But assuming you get a good one, I think that you will have a completely different experience if you do the coaching first. And then it becomes much easier to find your match. And you may not even need a matchmaker at that point. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. We'll just see how that works. So, thank you for being here. I am so happy to have you here. Again, go unlock that 7 patterns guide that's on my website, dianebrandonmoody.com. And I am doing the very last dating safely and scam free class for the year. I will probably do it again sometime, but it will only be like this year. And that is June 25th, Thursday, June 25th at 7 p.m. And again, go to my website. If you want to go there, go into dianebrandonmoody.com/safety. We go through how to keep yourself physically, emotionally, and financially safe while dating. I know 3 people personally who lost $160,000 while dating. That was just the 3 of them. One of them was a guy, 40 years old, had a PhD. He wasn't a dummy, but he got taken. The other 2 weren't dummies. They got taken. So we go through all of the signs of a scam and what that would look like. But we also go over how to keep yourself date while online dating, should you choose to do that. And even if you don't want to do online dating and you want to meet in person, I have tips for that too. So that is Thursday, June 25th at 7 p.m. You can get that on the website too. DianeBrandonMoody.com is where you find everything. Thanks. I'm so happy you've been here. Thank you for listening to me. And I would suggest that if you like the content that I do, please give me a review. I would appreciate that so much. And I would also appreciate your sending it to a girlfriend if you've had a girlfriend complain to you about any of the topics I talk about. And this is my 3rd year, so we've talked about a lot. Please, please have her listen to this. I wish you all the best now that we're in the good old summertime. Peace out. Have a good week.